Ever catch yourself swimming in this sea of emotions? Like, is this really love, or am I just kidding myself?
Yeah.
It's like this universal question.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, people have been trying to figure that out for centuries.
Forever. And the good news is we're not alone. There are people out there, like really smart people, trying to decode this whole love thing.
Right.
So we've been digging into this proposed podcast series, In Love, The Signs of True Connection. They're really trying to map out those early stages, the exciting, terrifying, exhilarating, terrifying.
Yeah, yeah. And you know what I find really refreshing? They're not just like throwing out these romantic cliches. They're really digging into the psychology of it all, right from episode 1.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Because, and they make this really clear, there is a massive difference between love, like that deep, enduring bond, and infatuation, which, yeah, it can feel all-consuming in the moment, but it's often fleeting.
That makes so much sense. I feel like we've all mistaken a fleeting fireworks show for the real deal, only to have it, like, fizzle out way too soon.
It happens to the best of us.
They even have a whole episode dedicated to spotting the signs. Like, are you constantly daydreaming about this person?
Right.
Does your heart skip a beat literally when they're around?
Okay, yeah.
Are those surefire signs?
Well, it's tempting to think so, right?
Yeah.
And honestly, some of those things can be linked to some pretty wild stuff happening in your brain and body.
Really?
We're talking like physiological and psychological shifts.
Okay, but what about those butterflies in your stomach?
Ah, the butterflies. So here's the catch. Those could just be good old-fashioned anxiety. Your brain on a first date can actually mimic your brain on love.
Oh, no.
It's all about those adrenaline surges and dopamine hits.
So our brain is basically playing tricks on us. No wonder it's so confusing. And this leads me to another point from this podcast that really struck me. Vulnerability. Episode 3, they dive into this. Why is opening up so scary, even though it's supposed to be the key to real connection?
It's almost like a cruel cosmic joke, right? We crave that deep intimacy, being truly seen and understood. But to get there, vulnerability. We have to let someone see the messy, imperfect parts of ourselves and trust that they're not going to, like, run for the hills.
It's terrifying.
It is. But the beautiful thing is vulnerability often creates more vulnerability. It opens up this space for genuine connection. Like, imagine a couple on a first date and they discover they both have this, like, crippling fear of public speaking.
Oh, I can totally see that.
In that shared vulnerability right there, a connection can form that's way stronger than either of them could have imagined.
That's such a great point. It makes you think about all the times you might have held back out of fear of being judged.
Totally.
And what you might have missed out on. Which, brings us to this classic battle, head versus heart.
Oh, the age-old struggle.
Right. Episode 4 of this podcast tackles this head on. Should we always trust our gut feelings when it comes to love? Because full disclosure, I've totally ignored some major red flags just because I was blinded by those initial sparks.
It happens.
Yeah, it didn't end well. Let's just say that.
Well, the heart wants what it wants.
It does.
But you're right. Blindly following those desires can lead us down some pretty treacherous paths. And it's not about ignoring your heart altogether. It's about, like, learning to decipher those gut feelings. What is your intuition really telling you? And is it based on the current situation or maybe some baggage from the past? We got to ask ourselves those tough questions.
So it's like we need to check in with our intuition, make sure it's giving us accurate information.
Exactly. Be discerning.
That's really interesting. Okay, 2 more things from this podcast outline that I really connected with, and they feel very related to each other. Shared experiences and understanding your partner's love language.
Oh, those are big ones.
Right. They feel like the foundation of building a lasting bond. What do you think?
100%. Imagine this, right? You express love through quality time, deep conversations, being present, but your partner, they express love through acts of service, doing the dishes, fixing things around the house. If you don't recognize those different love languages.
Oh, you're speaking different languages, basically.
Exactly. You might totally miss their loving gestures. And that leads to misunderstandings, hurt feelings, all
Oh,
that.
completely.
And shared adventures. Those become the stories you'll tell for years to come. The glue that binds you together.
Yeah.
The fact that this podcast wants to actually feature a couple whose unique adventures strengthen their bonds, I think that speaks volumes.
Yeah. It's like you're creating this tapestry of memories together. So after diving into all of this, is there like a magic formula for knowing if it's really love?
I wish it were that simple. There's no crystal ball, no one-size-fits-all answer. But here's the thing. We've explored some really powerful tools today. You've learned about the difference between love and infatuation, the importance of vulnerability, deciphering your intuition. Now it's about taking those tools and applying them to your own life.
Yeah.
So here's the question for you to ponder as we wrap up. If you had to guess right now, is what you're feeling love or infatuation? And what makes you say that?
That is a powerful question for everyone listening to ask themselves. Love is a journey, not a destination. So pay attention to the signs, trust your gut, but check in with it, make sure it's not steering you wrong, and most importantly, be open to the adventure. Who knows what you might discover?
You got it.
Thanks for diving deep with us.